Imagine strolling through the winding, sunlit streets of Barcelona, eager to immerse yourself in the vibrant culture, only to find yourself elbow to elbow with crowds so thick you can barely breathe. Or perhaps you're gliding down the iconic canals of Venice, but instead of serenity, you're met with a sea of boats, all jockeying for the perfect selfie spot. This isn't just a bad day of sightseeing. This is over-tourism. Once known for their tranquil beauty and cultural richness, cities like Barcelona, Venice, and Paris are now under siege, not by invaders, but by tourists. While tourism has long been hailed as the lifeblood of these cities, injecting billions into local economies, it's now becoming clear that this very lifeblood may be poisoning the soul of these iconic places. From the bustling streets of Paris to the ancient alleyways of Venice, the signs of over-tourism are impossible to ignore. But can these cities find a balance between economic prosperity and preserving their unique charm? Today, we're diving deep into Europe's tourism crisis to explore how the influx of visitors is reshaping both the cities and the lives of the people who call them home. For many European cities, tourism isn't just an industry, it's a lifeline. In 2019 alone, tourism made up nearly 12% of Spain's GDP, contributing over 150 billion euros. In Italy and France, the numbers are just as staggering. Millions of travelers from all corners of the world come to Europe to marvel at its history, culture, and breathtaking landscapes. And this influx isn't just enriching local economies, it's the very backbone of them. Imagine a city like Venice, where 65% of the workforce is connected to tourism. For local workers, from hotel staff to street performers, the constant flow of visitors isn't just welcomed, it's essential. The spending power of tourists keeps cafes bustling, hotels booked, and souvenir shops thriving. But there's a dark side to this dependence. One global crisis, one economic downturn, and the lifeline turns into a stranglehold, choking the local economy. The balance between maintaining economic growth and protecting these cities from the pressures of over-tourism is fragile. But what happens when that balance is broken? In Barcelona, a city celebrated for its art, architecture, and lively spirit, the very people who once welcomed tourists with open arms are now taking to the streets in protest. "Too many tourists," they cry, as the city's identity is slowly being eroded by the flood of outsiders. The cultural charm that once made Barcelona special is now drowning in a sea of visitors. Imagine living in a city where your favorite local cafe is now filled with tourists, where your rent has skyrocketed because of short-term rentals like Airbnb, and where every corner of your hometown feels like it's been turned into a photo op. This is the daily reality for many in Barcelona, Venice, and Paris. Venice, a city once famous for its peaceful canals and romantic allure, now faces a harsher reality. The canals are congested with boats, the ancient buildings are crumbling under the weight of millions of feet, and the local population is being pushed out. The result? A city that feels more like a theme park than a living, breathing community. As one Venetian local put it, "We no longer live in Venice, we survive it." The strain on infrastructure is palpable. Public transportation systems buckle under the pressure of millions of daily riders, while waste management struggles to keep up with the mountains of trash left behind. In Venice, residents have been driven from the city center, unable to afford the rising living costs brought on by short-term tourist rentals. In Barcelona and Paris, public spaces are clogged, and residents find themselves in an endless battle to reclaim their cities. When cities decide to push back against over-tourism, the economic impacts are felt immediately. In Venice, the introduction of tourist caps has led to a noticeable drop in revenue for local businesses. Restaurants sit with empty tables. Tour guides wait for customers that never come. And the once thriving souvenir shops find themselves struggling to survive. For those whose livelihoods depend on tourism, the restrictions feel like a death sentence. How do you tell a local shopkeeper that their business needs to suffer for the greater good of the city? How do you ask a tour guide to put the well-being of Venice ahead of their own paycheck? But in the long term, these tough choices may lead to greater rewards. By easing the pressure on local resources and improving the quality of life for residents, cities can attract higher quality visitors, those who stay longer and spend more. Sustainable tourism is not about shutting the door to tourists, it's about finding a way to open it without letting the floodwaters in. So what are these cities doing to balance the scales? From tourist taxes to off-season travel campaigns, let's explore how Europe's top destinations are fighting back against over-tourism. Cities across Europe are now taking bold steps to curb the growing tide of tourists. In Venice, a new booking system is being trialed to control the daily number of visitors. Tourists must now reserve their spot to visit the city, an effort to reduce overcrowding and preserve its fragile ecosystem. Barcelona has imposed strict fines on unlicensed tourist rentals, while Paris is encouraging off-season travel to ease the burden on its infrastructure. But these aren't just reactive measures, they're part of a larger vision for sustainable tourism. Cities are looking for creative solutions, like virtual tourism experiences that allow people to explore landmarks online or using technology to direct tourists to less crowded areas. The goal? To spread the benefits of tourism more evenly across the city while ensuring that residents don't feel like outsiders in their own homes. For cities like Amsterdam, distributing tourists across different districts has been a game changer. Using data and technology, visitors are guided to less crowded spots, reducing the pressure on popular attractions while still offering a rich travel experience. It's a delicate balancing act, but one that holds the potential for a more sustainable future. But now it's your turn to weigh in. If you were in charge of a city struggling with over-tourism, what would you do? Now imagine you're the tourism director of one of Europe's most visited cities. The decisions you make could either save your city or destroy it. Do you impose stricter regulations to protect the city's heritage and culture? Or do you keep the gates open for millions of tourists, knowing their money fuels your local economy? How do you balance the economic benefits of tourism with the quality of life for the people who actually live there? Would you prioritize short-term financial gain or make the tough decision to focus on long-term sustainability? Think about the complexities of these decisions. This isn't just about numbers, it's about the soul of these cities. How do you protect the heart of a place while still allowing the world to experience its beauty? The debate is open, and we'd love to hear what you think. Would you impose tighter restrictions or find ways to embrace tourism while maintaining balance? Europe's over-tourism crisis is more than just a headline. It's a battle for the very identity of some of the world's most beloved cities. While tourism remains a key driver of the economy, it's clear that without balance, these cities could lose what makes them truly special. So now it's your turn to weigh in. What do you think is the best way to manage tourism and protect local culture? Should we limit our numbers or rethink the entire tourism model? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We're eager to hear your ideas. YouTube thinks you should subscribe for more insights on global business and economic trends.